I want to give a special shout out to all my patrons first. Thank you so much to my Bibliospren, Bibliohowlers, and my Bibliomancers. It means a lot to me that you give me your extra support for my passion and hobby. Hi everyone, Petrik here. In today's video, I'll be talking about some of my most anticipated books of 2024. So yeah, this is an annual video on my YouTube channel. I have posted my priority series that I want to read next year. And in today's video, I'll be talking about my most anticipated book release in the year 2024. And as always, I will only mention confirmed release date. At the end of the video, I will mention some honorable mention that I think has the possibility of being released next year in the year 2024. But for these 30 books, they are confirmed to be released next year. And of course, I will start from the first month, January. In the month of January, I have one book that I look forward to reading. It is The Slain Divine by David Dalglish. This will be released on the 9th of January, and this will conclude the Vagrant Gods trilogy. I have read only the first book, The Bladed Fate. I still haven't read the second book yet, The Sapphire Altar. My experience with David Dalglish, usually I end up enjoying the second book more than the first book. So hopefully, whenever I get around to that, hopefully I will end up loving the Sapphire Altar compared to The Bladed Fate, and then of course The Slain Divine, which I consider to have the best cover art of the entire trilogy. But that's it for the month of January. I only have one most anticipated book in that month. But February is a big month because I have 6 most anticipated books being released that month. And the first one is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This will be released on the 6th of February, and honestly, I already have the advanced reading copy and I will be reading The Tainted Cup within this week. But even then, I am still a huge fan of Robert Jackson Bennett. I have a good feeling about The Tainted Cup, regardless of what I feel, whether I love or maybe dislike the book, which is very unlikely, but I still definitely will get the physical copy because I already own the physical copy of the Divine Series trilogy and also the Founders trilogy, and of course I have to get myself a physical copy of the Tainted Cup as well. So even though I might end up reading this already, by the publication date, I still want to own the physical copy. So I look forward to the release of The Tainted Cup. And after that, on the same date, on the 6th of February, we have The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. This is the third and final book in the Empire of the Wolf trilogy. The first book, The Justice of Kings, and also the second book, The Tyranny of Fate, are both some of my favorite books. I had a great time reading The Justice of Kings and also The Tyranny of Fate. And of course, I look forward to reading The Trials of Empire. And the cover art to this trilogy, all of them illustrated by Martina Vachkova and designed by Lauren Panepinto. They are absolutely striking. And yes, I also want to own the hardcover edition of The Trials of Empire because, yeah, I already own the hardcover copy of The Justice of Kings and The Tyranny of Fate. And then on the 13th of February, we have Gog Magog by Jeff Noon and also Steve Beard. I don't know too much about this one. I think this one, the book actually takes place in the city made of dragon bones or something like that. It has something to do with dragons, and also I really love the cover art and the cover design done by Ian McQuay, and I look forward to reading this one. I believe right now there is an advanced reading copy on the way to my place. I have to thank Angry Robot for sending me an advanced reading copy for this, and yeah, I look forward to reading this as soon as I can. And 2 days after that, on the 15th of February, we have the release of Sunbringer by Hannah Kenner. Honestly, I haven't read The God Killer yet, but the cover art to Sunbringer looks absolutely beautiful, and I have a plan to read God Killer and also Sunbringer next year. I heard a lot of great things about God Killer, especially from Elliot Brooks. She really loved God Killer, and I hope I will end up loving God Killer as much as she did, and then I can move on to Sunbringer, expecting a better reading experience. And yeah, the cover art by Tom Robert looks absolutely gorgeous though, and I cannot wait to own a copy of Sunbringer as well. And speaking of beautiful cover art, the next book that I look forward to in the month of February, this is a debut novel by Eliza Chan, and the title of this book is Phantom Folk. The cover art is done by Kelly Chong, and I have just now received the physical advanced reading copy of Phantom Folk, and it already looks beautiful, so beautiful. I think Kelly Chong, the cover artist, did such a great job on this cover art and the cover design. And well, this book is highly recommended to those who love the Drowning Empire trilogy by Andrea Stewart, and I really enjoyed that trilogy. So hopefully Phantom Folk will be as good as the Bone Shard Daughter. And finally, the last book that I look forward to in the month of February, this is Empire of the Damned by J. Christoph. And yeah, this is of course some of probably a lot of readers' most anticipated books of next year, and of course it is one of mine as well. Similar to Empire of the Vampire, the first book, this one will have a lot of interior illustrations by Monolime. Sorry if I mispronounced the name of the artist. But I had a bit of a mixed experience with Empire of the Vampire initially, because the first half of Empire of the Vampire, I struggled through the first half. But the second half completely engaged me, and I was so immersed and impressed with the second half of Empire of the Vampire. And because of that, I cannot wait to read Empire of the Dam. I just hope that my memory of the details regarding Empire of the Vampire will be enough for me to enjoy reading Empire of the Dam. But if not, I think I will have to do a second read of Empire of the Vampire before I read Empire of the Dam. And of course, I'm waiting for the UK physical copy because I want the cover art done by Kirby Rosanes edition. So that's it for the month of February. In the month of March, I look forward to reading one book, and this is not a fantasy, not a sci-fi book. This is a murder mystery by Stewart. The title of this book is The Last Murder at the End of the World. I have actually read only one book by Stewart, and it is his first book, The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I enjoyed that one. It was quite good, but I heard the second book. I believe the title of the second book is The Devil and the Dark Water, and from what I heard, this one actually takes place in Batavia. That's the old name for Jakarta, the city where I live. So I definitely have to get around to reading that someday, but even though I still haven't read that, I also look forward to the release of this book, The Last Murder at the End of the World, because I do like to read murder mystery as well. But that's for confirmed release date. I still have 3 more books that I look forward to in the month of March, but they don't have any confirmed release date yet. But I know they are being released in the month of March from the Kickstarter campaign. This is for the God Eater Saga by Rob J. Hayes. This is a classical heroic fantasy told in a modern style, and it's set in a world where humans can gain immortality and magic by eating angels. So these are all the first book of the 3 trilogies in the entire God Eater Saga series: Herald, Deathless, and Demon, and I look forward to reading all 3 of them next year. Moving on to the month of April, I have 3 most anticipated books. The first one is The Lie or the Book That Broke the World by Mark Lawrence. I plan to read every book by Mark Lawrence. I still haven't read The Book That Wouldn't Burn, and also the last 2 books in the Book of the Ice trilogy. And yeah, I still have a lot. That means I still have a lot of books by Mark Lawrence to catch up. I still don't have the physical copy of The Book That Wouldn't Burn. For those of you who miss my drama and my issue with The Book That Wouldn't Burn, it has become The Book That Wouldn't Ship for me. I ordered the book 3 times, all of them failed to deliver to my place, and so I gave up for now. I might end up getting a copy eventually, but I still look forward to reading the book and also this sequel eventually. I am already excited to see what the cover art will be because it will be illustrated by Tom Roberts again. And for the next one, this is not only my most anticipated book for the month of April, this is also one of my most anticipated books of 2024. And yeah, this is This Quiet Gods by Christopher Rocchio. This is the 6th and the penultimate installment in the Sun Eater series. I don't think I need to say too much about the Sun Eater. I am right now in a big fever and obsession over the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. And if you have been following my channel for the past 2 or 3 months, then you will know that all I talk about is the Sun Eater series. It has pretty much saved the last quarter of my reading year this year, and I'm about to start reading Demon in White pretty soon, which is considered to be the best book in the series so far by a lot of readers of the Sun Eater. But yeah, of course, I plan to read all the books in the Sun Eater series, and with that in mind, I want to get a physical copy of the Disquiet Gods with the cover art done by Kieran Yenner, and yeah, that will end up increasing my collection of the Sun Eater series, and I will be glad for that. And the last book in the month of April that I look forward to, this is a book that I have read and reviewed on my YouTube channel, and this is The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan. This is a debut novel, and there is a good chance this will become the best debut novel in the year 2024, the best fantasy debut novel next year. There's a really good chance of that for me anyway, because I had such a great time reading this one. And if you want to know my full thoughts regarding the Silver Blood Promise, you can check out my video review on that book on my YouTube channel. But I think if you're a reader who loves the vibes of the Lies of Loch Lamora, the interaction, the setting, and all that, I think there's a really good chance you will love the Silver Blood Promise as well. And yes, I'm a huge fan of the Gentleman Bastard sequence by Scott Lynch. And now we move on to the next month, the month of May. Just like the month of April, I have 3 books that I look forward to. And I just talked about the best debut novel, right? The possibility of the Silver Blood Promise becoming the best fantasy debut novel of 2024. But I think Kavitri by Aman J. Bedi will be the contender to fight the Silver Blood Promise. And I look forward to that. This book will be released in May 15th. I had the pleasure and honor to reveal the cover art of Kavitri, and the author has actually pitched this to me because he has mentioned to me that Kaladin from the Stormlight Archive, Berserk manga, Vagabond manga, and then also the anime Evangelion, and then the Bridge Burner from Malazan Book of the Fallen are some of his main inspiration in the creation of Kavitri. And well, those are pretty much some of my favorite stories of all time across storytelling mediums. Of course, I will have to read Kavitri whenever it's ready. And for the next one, this will be released on the 23rd of May. And for those of you who are a fan of this series, I have no doubt this will be your most anticipated books of next year. This is Song of the Mysteries by Jenny Wirtz. This is the conclusion to the decades-long Wars of Light and Shadow series by Jenny Wirtz, a series that I have talked about on my channel plenty of times, but somehow I still haven't started reading the series yet. But I have made it this time really clear that I will at least start reading Wars of Light and Shadow next year. Right now the plan is to read Curse of the Mistwraith in the month of January, and hopefully, if everything goes well, I will be able to read 1 book per month until the month of November. And yeah, Song of the Mysteries is the 11th and the final book of the series. And I have to say, congratulations to Jenny Wirtz for this. This is true determination and passion in storytelling. And for the final book in the month of May, this one will be released on the 28th of May. And you know what? I don't know too much about this one, honestly. I haven't even really checked what the premise is about. But the cover art really got me. This is the Fireborn Blade. The Fireborn Blade by Charlotte Bunn. Just like the Trials of Empire and also Empire of the Wolf by Richard Swan that I talked about earlier, this cover art is done by Martina Fajkova, and yeah, it won my attention. That's it. Sometimes the reason why I want to read a book is simply because the cover art is gorgeous, and this is one of those examples. And now let's talk about 4 most anticipated books in the month of June. The first one is The Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Ronhurst. I have read only the first book here, The Black Sun, but I love Black Sun. But I still haven't read the second book yet. I think the title of the second book is The Fevered Star. Yeah, I haven't read that one yet. I heard that the book actually ended on a cliffhanger. And after hearing that from multiple readers and also saying that there is a bit of a middle book syndrome in The Fevered Star, even though it is still pretty good, I think I might as well just wait for the third book in the trilogy to be released, and that's The Mirrored Heavens. Looking forward to this one, and there's a really good chance I will have to do a second read of Black Sun first, but hey, at least it is not a big book. And I certainly don't mind doing a second read of a great fantasy book. And then the second book in the month of June, this will be for Arthur by Giles Kristian. This will be the third and the concluding volume to the Arthurian Tales by Giles Kristian. And if you are not new to my channel and reviews, then I think you will know that Lancelot is one of my favorite books of all time. It is one of the best historical fiction novels ever. And the standalone spin-off sequel, Camelot, is still a great book, but in my opinion, it was not as good as Lancelot. Here's hoping that Arthur will be as good as Lancelot, and it will have a satisfying ending to the Arthurian Tales trilogy. On the 25th of June, I have 2 books that I look forward to, and the first one is The Daughter's War by Christopher Bullman. So this one will be a prequel novel to The Black Tongue Thief. I had a great time reading Black Tongue Thief. I think it is a very fun and entertaining book. It is not easy for a book, for a supposedly kind of dark fantasy book, to make me laugh plenty of times. But The Black Tongue Thief definitely has achieved that quickly within like the first 100 pages. And yeah, I look forward to reading The Daughter's War. This one will be about Galva. If you have read The Black Tongue Thief, you will know who Galva is. The other book that I look forward to, similar to The Fireborn Blade, I don't know too much about this one, other than I think this is a Slavic-inspired epic fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. But the cover art of this book definitely won me over. The cover art is done by Rovina Kai, and this is for Foul Days by Genevieva Di Mova. The early reviews on Goodreads about The Foul Days, it seems like this book will be, well, anything but foul, because it seems like so many people loved it. And with that cover art, I hope I can get the physical copy to read. Rovina Kai is honestly one of my favorite illustrators, but somehow I don't have any book with the cover art by her on my bookshelves. And yeah, I know that is insane. But yeah, more importantly, I hope that the book will be as good or even better than the cover art. And now in the month of July, I think there is a good possibility there are 3 books that I look forward to will be released. And the first one is Into the Rift by Clay Harmon. I still haven't read the first book yet, even though the first book has been marketed to those who love reading the magic system in Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. And yeah, I am a fan of Mistborn trilogy and also, well, the entire Mistborn saga by Brandon Sanderson. Of course, I still have to read the first book. Whether I manage to get around to reading the first book or not, I still look forward to the release of this one, Into the Rift. And then honestly, for the next 2 books, I don't have any release date for them, so please put a grain of salt in these 2 releases. But I have no doubt that these 2 will be released in the year 2024, either in spring or summer. And the next one is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. This is the second book in the Hierarchy series, the sequel to The Will of the Many, which has the biggest possibility to become my favorite fantasy book of this year. I do not think for the remaining of November or December, I will be able to find a better fantasy book than The Will of the Many. It is honestly incredible, and The Strength of the Few, whether it's being released in the month of July or not, it is definitely my most anticipated, well, one of my most anticipated books of 2024. And for the next one, this is kind of similar, but this is for Resurrection by Christopher Russell. There is no cover art for this one yet, and I have read only the first book, Divinity's Twilight Rebirth. The second one, Divinity's Twilight Remnant, I still haven't read that one, but I have made it one of my priority to read Remnant and also Resurrection in the year 2024. I actually enjoyed reading Divinity's Twilight Rebirth. I did give that book a 3.5 or 7 out of 10 in terms of rating, but what I love most about Divinity's Twilight Rebirth is that it is definitely Stormlight Archive and also Final Fantasy inspired. Some of my favorite things really in this world. And from reading that book, although I gave the book 3.5 stars, which is still a good rating in my opinion, but there is so many potential for it to improve a lot in the second book, Remnant. Based on the reviews that I have seen on Remnant, it seems like those who have read the first 2 books in Divinity's Twilight agree that Remnant is significantly superior compared to Rebirth. And yeah, hopefully Resurrection will be the best one of the series so far. I'm actually not sure how many books will be in the series, but that this one currently is slated to be released in summer 2024. We're nearly the end of the video, and for the next month, this is the month of August, and I have 3 books here. The first one is The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey. I'm a fan of the Expanse series, and this one is the first book in the Captives War, I think, trilogy. Yeah, I think this will be a trilogy. So The Mercy of Gods is a completely new book in a completely new series that I think is unrelated to The Expanse. But because I'm a fan of The Expanse and also Daniel Abraham, of course I look forward to reading Mercy of Gods. And then for the remaining 2 books in the month of August, these are both being released on the 13th of August. And the next one, I think this is a controversial one because this is The Doors of Midnight by R.R. Virdi, assuming that this book is actually being released next year, because I know when I did not include Doors of Midnight in my most anticipated books of 2023, I got plenty of flakes for that because saying that I lied or something, but hey, look at it, it's not being released in 2023. So hopefully this one will be released in 2024, and I hope, even though I really enjoyed reading the first binding, I cannot deny that it is very reminiscent of The Name of the Wind. I hope Doors of Midnight will be different, will take a different direction compared to the Kingkiller Chronicle. I mean, the title is definitely not doing the series itself a favor because it is so reminiscent of the Doors of Stone, the unreleased Doors of Stone. And after that, we have a debut novel. This is The Doll Makers by Lynn Buchanan. So I have seen some concept arts from the authors regarding this debut novel, and also after reading the premise and the concept art, I am very interested in reading this one. I think this one will be a standalone novel too. I could be wrong on that, but so far there is no cover reveal yet, but I certainly look forward to reading The Doll Makers by Lynn Buchanan. Hopefully this will compete with The Silver Blood Promise and also Kavitri and The Foul Days to become the best debut of 2024. And moving on to the month of September, I only have one confirmed release this month. This is for The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. I have read the Drowning Empire trilogy or the Drowned Empire trilogy by Andrea Stewart this year, and I still consider The Bone Shard Daughter to be a very well-polished debut novel. I think it's somehow become my favorite book in the entire trilogy, even though the trilogy is still pretty good. And I hope this new book by Andrea Stewart in a completely different series, The Gods Below, will launch Andrea Stewart's career and also storytelling above. See what I did there? But yeah, currently this one is slated to be released on the 5th of September. And for the next 3 book release, honestly, there are no confirmed release date for these 3 books yet, but I think it is pretty much confirmed that these 3 will be released in, I think, either summer or fall 2024. So let's talk about them. The first one is the 3rd book in the Gael song series by Shauna, Lawless. This will be the 3rd book after The Children of Gods and Fighting Men and also Words of Kings and Prophets. A very, very well-praised character-driven Irish historical fantasy series, and I plan to read the entire trilogy within next year, as I talk about in my priority series video. And this notion is also applicable to the next book, The Dark Drinker by Zamil Akhtar. This is the 4th and the final book in the Gunmetal Gods series. And I have actually asked Zamil Akhtar about this, and yeah, he has said that this book, the final book in the Gunmetal Gods, will be released most likely either in summer or fall 2024. And if you haven't checked out the Kickstarter project for this one yet, make sure to do it before the Kickstarter campaign is over. I think everything about the Kickstarter campaign is looking absolutely stunning. I look forward to finding out the content behind the creation of this beautiful product. And Daniel Green has given such high praise toward Gunmetal Gods. I hope I will end up loving the Gunmetal Gods as much as he did. And finally, the last book that is probably will be released in summer or fall 2024. This is The Cure for Living by Nicholas Litzau. This is the sequel to The Dreams of the Dying, one of my favorite books of all time, one of the greatest first book of a series that I have read, and it worked absolutely well as a standalone novel. I think this also belongs in the grimdark subgenre category. But I love this one if you love character-driven fantasy and you love the sun or concept of Inception in a Polynesian fantasy setting with morally grey characters that doesn't shy away from exploring the theme of melancholia and depression. Definitely you have to read Dreams of the Dying. And yeah, I am looking forward to reading The Cure for Living. Nicholas Litzau has been pretty confident in saying that Cure for Living will be even better than Dreams of the Dying, and I consider that a very high praise and endorsement. And now we will jump into the month of November, and I only have 2 books here, and for these last 2 books, the release date are still tentative, but it is pretty much almost confirmed they will be released in the month of November, and they are some of my most anticipated books of next year. And the first one is The Navigator's Children by Ted Williams. I think many of you will know by now that I'm a fan of Memory, Sorrow and Thorn trilogy, even though I have only started reading that trilogy this year, but hey, better late than never. So I considered it a big priority for me to read the entire Last King of Boston art in 2024. I will start reading The Witchwood Crown probably in the month of February, and then I will try my best to catch up to Navigator's Children in the month of November. Hopefully this will be an even better conclusion than To Green Angel Tower. And I already consider To Green Angel Tower one of the best concluding volumes, even though it did have some pacing issues. But the final 200 pages of To Green Angel Tower, it was just so epic, and to think that it was released in the 90s, it means 30 years have passed since the release of To Green Angel Tower. And well, I have high expectations that The Navigator's Children will be a better conclusion because Ted Williams have 3 decades to hone and upgrade his storytelling skill further. If all goes according to plan, The Navigator's Children will be released on the 7th of November. And finally, for the last book, the last most anticipated book and most likely my most anticipated book of next year, this is, assuming that it is being released in the month of November, this is Knights of Wind and Truth, or Wind and Truth, the 5th and the final book in the Stormlight Archive Part 1 by Brandon Sanderson. This will conclude the first half of the Stormlight Archive, and once this is released, we will have to wait, I think from my prediction, at least 5 years before the release of Stormlight Archive Book 6. So yeah, this is probably kind of like at the end of the first era of the Stormlight Archive. I think many of you know now that the Stormlight Archive is one of my top favorite series of all time. It is one of the best epic fantasy series in my honest opinion. And this has been 4 years coming because Rhythm of War was released in the year 2020. My anticipation toward the Stormlight Archive 5 is definitely sky high, and it is even more because I just finished reading The Sunlit Man last month, and well, I have so many things that I want to find out, and I think I can find out about that from reading the Stormlight Archive Book 5. Very much excited for this, and yes, for those of you who asked me about this, I will do a full reread of the Stormlight Archive in the year 2024 in preparation for the release of Stormlight Archive Book 5, Knights of Wind and Truth. So that's it for 30 most anticipated books that I think are confirmed to be released in the year 2024, with release date or without any release date. And for the next 8, I want to give some honorable mention here. I will try to be brief about them, but I think there is a good chance they will be released in the year 2024 as well. But as far as I know, there are no confirmation yet. And these are The Lord of Demons by Evan Winter, the 3rd book in the Burning series. I love The Rage of Dragons and also The Fires of Vengeance, and well, I look forward to reading The Lord of Demons whenever it's ready, the penultimate installment in the Burning Quartet. And then this will be the final book in the big series of Matthew Corbett by Robert McCammon. I think many of you now know that I am a huge fan of Swan Song and also Boy's Life. These are the only 2 books by Robert McCammon that I have read, and I am hugely in love with both of them. And I have always wanted to read a Matthew Corbett series. I'm just waiting for the confirmation on the release date for Leviathan. Last I checked on his blog post, he has mentioned that Leviathan is slated hopefully to be released at the end of 2024, but it is not confirmed yet. And for the next 2 books, these are both conclusion to my favorite sci-fi series of all time. So Red God by Pierce Brown, the concluding volume to Red Rising Saga series. Hopefully it will be released in the year 2024. And also Book 7 of the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. I have no idea whether this will actually be released in 2024 or not. I think Christopher Rocchio has mentioned this one will be released in November or December 2024, but I could be wrong about that. I do hope that it will come true though, because yes, I want to conclude some of my favorite series of all time next year if possible. And for the next 2 books, although there is no any confirmation that they are indeed being released next year yet, but I think there's a really good chance they are indeed being released next year. The 3rd book in the Keith Hammar trilogy by Daniel Abraham, and also the 3rd book in the War Art Saga by Wesley Chu, which right now I predict the title will be The Art of War. If you have watched my priority series video, Keith Hammar trilogy and also the War Art Saga are some of my priority series that I want to start and also finish next year. So I hope the 3rd and the last book in this trilogy will indeed come out next year. And I think this one also belongs in the honorable mention for sure, because this is Of Empires and Dust by Ryan Cahill, the 4th and the penultimate installment in the Bound and the Broken series. I mean, whenever this is out, I will definitely read this. The Bound and the Broken is one of my favorite ongoing series, but there is no confirmed release date or month for this one so far. I think right now in planning stage, this is planned to be released in summer or probably fall 2024, maybe November. And finally, for the last potential release, this will be for a new book by Philip Chase. I think this will be the start of a new series or maybe a standalone a sequel to his first trilogy, the Eden trilogy. I have read only The Way of Eden, and I plan to read The Prophet of Eden either this month or at the beginning of next month. But readers who have read the entire Eden trilogy agree that the second book, The Prophet of Eden, and also the third book, Return to Eden, are superior compared to the first book, The Way of Eden. And I hope once I have finished reading The Prophet of Eden and also the Return to Eden, I can agree with this thoughts and reviews. So that's it. That's really a wrap on today's video. Suffice to say that there are a lot of books coming out, a lot of great sounding fantasy and sci-fi books potentially to be released in the year 2024, and I look forward to reading as many of them as much as I can. Between the books I listed in today's video and also my priority series video and the infinite backlog of books that I still haven't read, well, I will always be busy reading and reviewing books next year as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me today. Do let me know what you think about these books that I have listed. Are some of these your most anticipated books of next year? But if not, do tell me, what are your most anticipated books of next year in the year 2024? As always, thank you so much for watching and thank you for your support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.